A reporter saved the day. Troops are headed back to Iraq, and an earthquake has shaken up Ecuador. I'm Kendra Benradi.
And I'm Anthony Anderson. These are tonight's top stories.
Live on Crete Channel 21, this is DCTV News.
Everyone has the opportunity to be a hero, and today was TV reporter Steve Campion's day. Campion was reporting on a flood when a man drove his car into a flooded underpass in Houston, Texas. The incident was caught on video with Campion yelling, "Dude, you've got to get out of the car." The man eventually gets out and swims towards Campion, who has waded waist deep into the water with extended hands. The man is okay now and told the reporter that he didn't realize how deep the water was. Well, Kennerly, looks like we have some big shoes to fill.
The U.S. will send 200 more troops and a number of Apache helicopters to Iraq to assist in the fight against the Islamic State group. Defense Secretary Ash Carter says the new forces will largely be used to advise Iraqi forces closer to the front lines. The announcement comes during a push to retake Mosul, Iraq's second largest city. Carter met today with Iraqi leaders in Baghdad about the next steps to beef up the Iraqi forces.
A 7.8 magnitude earthquake killed more than 300 people in Ecuador over the weekend. Rescuers and aid from all over the world are flooding into the country as they face the aftermath of the devastating quake. The search for people trapped beneath the rubble continues as the death toll rises.
The police officer accused of fatally shooting a man in Springfield 3 years ago has pleaded guilty to involuntary manslaughter. Adam Torres entered a plea bargain today just before he was about to enter murder trial. Torres will serve a 12-month sentence for killing John Gear after a 40-minute standoff where Gear had his hands up when Torres shot him. Prosecutors say Torres was angry over the breakup of his marriage and was unfit for duty when he went into Gear's home for a domestic dispute 3 years ago.
More than 15 are injured after a bus exploded in Jerusalem today. Israeli officials say there is no doubt that it was a terror attack, but they do not know who the attacker was, nor if it was a suicide bombing. The blasts come from a 7-month string of Palestinian attacks on the city, which have mostly been stabbings. This causes fear that the regular suicide attacks that went through Israel's cities decades ago is coming back.
Well, it's snowing in Colorado, but raining here. You know, I'm getting really confused, Ryan. One day it's sunny, warm, shorts, tanks, wow. And now I'm back to wearing a jacket. What's going on? You gotta let me know, man.
I don't know, man. Weather is stupid and nobody likes it really. But, you know, I do. Yeah, it's raining right now. It's really sunny now, but, you know, no one knows what the weather's doing. It's not like there's radars or anything. So we're just going to throw out a guess out there, and I'll have the weekly forecast that I made up when DCTV continues. Let's take a break. Well, if you went outside today, you probably noticed it was very wet and rainy outside today. Very unlike what we had this past week where it's nice and warm outside. Let's take a look at it. It was pretty overcast for today. High 50s, maybe into the low 60s, depending on where you were at. Low of 45, but basically just rain all day, off and on, so that's kind of what you got to deal with. April showers, that deal. Let's take on what's going on right now. Whatever. And so what's basically green is the rain. So we got the rain system moving in, and that's what you had to deal with. And that's basically what throughout the week you're going to get some more of. You're going to get some scattered showers throughout the week. So forecast, actually we're going to look at what's going on right tomorrow. And this is the rest of your forecast. Scattered showers coming through. So the rain will come and hit you eventually throughout the week. So maybe not tomorrow, but maybe Wednesday or Thursday, the small rainstorms will move over and hit us. Maybe not as bad as it did today, but we will see some more rain in the future. Let's hit up the forecast. Woo! So tomorrow we can get some scattered showers. Slightly be partly cloudy in the morning. Wednesday is when we're going to get the most of our rain, be in the low 60s then. And then Thursday we got some scattered showers, not too bad though. Temperatures will start rising then. Friday our temperatures will start rising again. Be nice and sunny, 75 degrees. And then as we head into the weekend, Saturday and Sunday it'll warm up. But Sunday we're going to see some more rain again.
I'm so prepared for the weekend. You saw that? 80 degrees?
Yeah.
Wow.
Well,
It's such a warm up. Thanks, Ryan.
no problem.
If it seems like the state of Nebraska is always under construction, then I'm here to tell you it's about to get worse. Efforts to repair crumbling county bridges and complete the state's unfinished expressway system will get a funding boost from a new law backed by Governor Pete Ricketts. Ricketts signed a measure on Monday to create a $450 million state fund for highway construction projects, which would finance the projects through 2033. Ricketts says safe and efficient infrastructure is essential to growing tourism, agriculture, and manufacturing.
The Environmental Protection Agency is expected to clean up 35 homes with lead-contaminated soil in a Lincoln neighborhood. EPA spokesman Chris Whitley says the agency plans to offer remediation to property owners whose dirt tested high for lead. Remediation involves digging up at least 1 foot of soil, bringing in clean dirt, and covering the area with sod or hydroseed. The properties are located near the former site of the Northwestern Metal Company plant, which operated from about 1918 to 1961. The project is being handled by a federal Superfund program, and remediation will be done at no cost to the property owner.
Costco wants to generate a third of their chicken in Fremont, Nebraska. Supporters of Costco's efforts say the plant will create 1,100 new jobs and provide financial benefits to the community of Dodge County. Opponents say the plant would hurt schools and the environment. The final decision will be announced later this year. Stay tuned to DCTV to join the conversation on abortion when Doane Weekly continues.
Wait, do you think?
We are back.
Oh, welcome to the weekly segment on DCTV, where we ask 2 students to debate a hot political issue. This week, Anna Bowerly, representing the conservative side, and Joseph Couch, representing the more liberal side, will be discussing abortion and women's reproductive rights issues. Without delay, let's start with you, Joe. Do you think that the abortion is the fetus's right or the woman's right?
Well, I actually think this question might be a little confusing because a fetus obviously wouldn't want the right to an abortion, much like I wouldn't necessarily want the right to, I don't know, have myself killed. So what this discussion is really about is women's health, and a lot of complications can occur during pregnancy, and sometimes it's very necessary to terminate said pregnancy, and the woman certainly deserves the right to maintain her personal autonomy and make those decisions about her life.
To help you out on the question, I think to give it some more clarification, I think maybe to rephrase it is, do you think the abortion is a matter of a child being born or a woman choosing the right over her body?
I think it's very important for a woman to have a right over her own body.
Anna, how would you respond to this?
I'm going to respond exactly opposite of Joe. I think that fetus, that person, does have a right to life because if we don't have a right to life, what do we have? What do we have?
Okay, Anna, we will go to you on this question. Should abortion rights be a state or a federal issue?
This is a tricky question because I would love to see abortion become illegal in most cases, and I don't know whether or not that should be a state's right or a state's decision or like the federal government's decision. I do think we should give states the power to decide what they want to do on this specific issue.
Now, does your opinion change at all when it comes to situations of extenuating circumstances where maybe the abortion might seem the right thing to do in that moment?
Yes, I am not a 100% blanket statement pro-lifer. I'm not. I do think there are situations when an abortion is an acceptable choice, as in when there's an issue with the life of the mother, because if we're going to save a life, there are 2 lives in question there, and if we have one that's already living, we should save the life of the mother. So does that kind of answer your question?
Definitely, definitely. Joe, like, how do you respond to this? What's your opinions on these?
I am usually very states' rights. I think that's a great reason we have the federal system, so that we can have that balance of powers. But it's very important for us to recognize that it's a universal issue of women's health, and that when you're denying it in certain states, I don't see why you'd want to live in one of those states. For instance, if you're a woman in Texas, your rights are just so much lesser than in a lot of other states. So I can see how you could apply this, but I really think that an issue as important as women's health needs to be federally mandated over the entire United States.
Definitely. I feel like both of you are more states' rights, and I'm definitely a federalist when it comes to the issue, because, you know, the states would have had their way back in the day. But so I guess to tag on to more what you were saying, so what are these circumstances that you would believe where an abortion is okay with your stance on abortion?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I think this is where I might differ from a lot of pure conservatives. I'm a little bit more moderate than most conservatives. While I don't think we should have 100% abortion is illegal, I am not in favor of, in cases of rape, I still think that child, although it's hard for the mother, it is, and I'm not in any way taking away from that, or I'm trying to force anything on the woman, although some people would probably see it like that. I just think that child has a right to be born, and even though the situation is unfortunate, that is a case where I'm not in favor of legalizing it. But like I said earlier, in cases of the mother's life, I think absolutely we should save the mother in those cases.
Okay, Joe. So Anna speaks on, especially going into cases when the child is conceived from rape or sexual assault. What is your stance on that position right there, when the child is conceived through means of no consent?
Putting myself in the woman's shoes in that situation, I could not imagine going 9 months just reliving that traumatic experience over and over, and then giving birth to that child, and then I would hope she could achieve peace at some point. But I know from listening to women having their stories told, there are good stories that come about it. They come to love their child and then they get through the struggle together. But there are also the horror stories of this kid represents a terrible time in their life, and they grow this fostering resentment for them, and it ends up ruining both of their lives. And I'm not about to make that choice for anyone. That should be in the mother's hands.
Okay, moving on. This being a very heated legal battle down in Texas, should businesses be able to reject offering health insurance to women? And that covers birth control, the morning after pill, et cetera, et cetera. Joe, what do you think on that?
Well, I am actually rather libertarian on this. If the business wants to do what they want to do, then that business should be able to. I mean, it might not necessarily be good business practice to not give your employees what your employees want. They should probably leave and find a new business. But if this business is receiving any form of federal subsidy, any sort of government money, they should not be receiving it if they are not adhering to the federal law.
Anna, what do you think about that?
I have no problems with, okay, let me start over. I do not think businesses should be able to not offer health insurance because that private businesses, yes, maybe more of in that they should be able to pick what they offer, but for most businesses, they should have to offer health insurance, yeah.
So this is a question that either one of you could hop in on. When it comes to this matter of businesses being able to offer birth control and oral contraceptive, do either one of you think this is a matter of a business exerting their control over what women they can hire and what they can do to the women that they employ?
Oh, definitely. I mean, but that's also a business owner wants to control their business. I mean, I wouldn't want to lose control over my own business. But, oh, no, I lost my train of thought. It makes sense for the business owner to want to have that control. But you also have to give back control if you want to have happy, healthy employees.
Definitely.
I guess I can't blanket statement this, but I would say the religious group that has the most issues with the use of contraception is specifically Catholics, and that's maybe 30% of people that identify as Christians, and I think that issue is blown out of proportion from what it needs to be in conversations. I don't know.
So, would illegalizing abortion lead to more under-the-counter or dangerous procedures of aborting? I'm going to let this go to Anna because she's more on the side of making it illegal. Do you think that it would cause more of an abortion black market?
I don't think so. I actually think it would lead to an increase of birth control and contraception use, which I think that's great. If people want to have sex, let them have sex in a way that doesn't make abortion necessary.
You see, though, there is actually concrete evidence that this does happen when in states with these stricter laws. For instance, in Texas, if you, I was reading a terrible story last month about this woman who could not afford to make the 8-hour drive to the next state to get the screening and then pay for a hotel room for the 3-day waiting period there. So on the phone with her abortion provider, or with the medical doctor in the other state where she was trying to schedule the appointment, she was crying over how she couldn't be there, and she simply asked the doctor, "How do I do it myself?" And the doctor said, "I can't tell you that." And she said, "How do I do it myself?" Over and over and the doctor couldn't do anything for her. And this happens time and time again where these women are putting themselves in dangerous situations. Now, that isn't necessarily a good argument for why it should be legalized, though, because you can actually carry the same form of argument over to murder. I mean, if we made murder illegal, would people then just be murdering people illegally? Of course they would. But that's also where I must give credit to Anna. We need to bolster our contraceptive access, and that's where I would also just point out some inconsistencies in places like Texas where they make access to contraception much more difficult while hammering down on abortion access.
I completely agree with what Joe just said. It's a great point.
So, should the reproductive health of a woman even be a government issue? Why or why not?
Well, any health should be a government issue. Not necessarily reproductive health, mental health, physical health, everything the government tries to care about, they should care about. And if they're going to care about our health at all, they should care about every aspect of our health.
Was that a camera direction?
Yes, I kind of agree with Joe, but I'm also at sort of where I think the government should, I don't know, just get out of it a little bit more. I don't know. I think at some point we're micromanaging and we don't need to spend time or government money micromanaging every single woman's health. I don't know. I can see both sides for this one.
So, how does this conflict with religious freedom in the opinions of both of you? The concept of legislation on abortion and things like that. How does this, tie in with the notion to practice what you believe? And I mean, that's if you believe that. I mean, if you're the religious subset you are a part of, believes that contraception is wrong. How does this play into all that?
Well, I think saying abortion is a religious issue or has to do with religious freedom, like, takes the focus on, I think the issue with abortion is life. It's not whether you believe in God or whether you believe in Allah or whatever you believe in. This has to do with people having a right, little tiny humans having a right to live. As it stands now, most religious people that don't believe in abortion don't get abortions. And I can see that being an argument for keeping it how it is now, like keeping abortion legalized, is people that don't want them won't get them, and people that want them can get them. I can see that. I don't know. Joe, what do you think?
My stance on this is really that no, the government isn't telling people they're having abortions. No one's forcing any of this on anyone. And religious people aren't necessarily subsidizing it. The churches aren't taxed. They're not paying anything into the system. If the church wants a say in our legal process, they can pay taxes. Until then, the individuals can bring objective moral claims like you're addressing. But before a church can do any of that, they need to pay taxes.
I agree.
Third trimester abortions. Illegal, legal. Go.
I'll go first.
Okay.
Absolutely illegal. It's just a matter of location at that point. If this baby could survive in a womb or outside of it, illegal. Yep.
You see, I've got 2 points to make on this. The first is that there is conflicting research on the timeline of when a fetus is viable and not, and when a fetus would feel pain. And I've read plenty of articles that there is no substantial evidence that a fetus would feel pain for the first 20 weeks. And that's just my opinion based on the research I've seen. But the other issue is just that tricky things like a timestamp on the pregnancy lead to very specific complications. For instance, I was reading an article earlier this month about a woman down in Texas who, at 20 weeks, she was experiencing great pain, and she needed to go to the hospital because she was pregnant. And her and her husband were trying for a second after they already had a miscarriage. And when they went to the hospital, they found out the baby's feet were already leaving after only 20 weeks, and they tried to put it back in, I guess. I don't know. I'm no doctor, and I don't know the medical stuff they were doing, and I will try not to gross anyone out by continuing much more with this story. But essentially, they couldn't save the fetus, and it was dying in there. But they couldn't induce labor, they couldn't take it out or do anything because of the laws in Texas. So that woman they sent her home, they stopped the bleeding, and then they sent her home to carry the child in her for about a week, just enduring horrible pain, going back whenever she's bleeding so that they could take care of it. And then eventually the baby's heart stopped, and then after that grueling week, they could finally end it. And issues like that are just, it's an arbitrary timestamp, it seems, the way the research is right now. And I just wish that I just wish the woman could have that option of not suffering needlessly in those situations.
But I also think that specific anecdote comes down to I would say that instances like that are few and far between. And in that case, I don't know if I would call that an abortion, because that's just, like inducing labor at that point. I don't know this.
It goes to when you define when the fetus is viable or not, because the heart was still beating, but there's no way that the baby would have lived. Does life start at conception? Does life start at 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks? or when the heart's beating, it's just very arbitrary. And if you're going by pain, I don't remember pain I experienced when I was 5. Does that mean I wasn't a human until I was 5?
Moving on. Planned Parenthood. Now, should Planned Parenthood stay government funded? And should the state offer Planned Parenthood services as it does? Joe.
Yeah. The issue that people are having with Planned Parenthood, clearly those videos came out earlier this year that have been proved to have been doctored and faked. And abortion is only, I believe, 3% of Planned Parenthood services. Everything else is preventative care, helping families plan to be parents, STD screenings, cancer screenings for women, and all sorts of general health things that women otherwise could not get when they come from low socioeconomical means. This is a very important service that the states definitely need to fund.
I agree with the latter part of Joe's statement. I do absolutely think states need to offer services like this, and I do think we should defund Planned Parenthood. It's kind of a tricky subject when you talk about where their funding goes and what percentage and whatever, because you can hear different things from different sources, and I can't tell you what's true or what's not, but I'd say defund Planned Parenthood, give that money to states, providers that can then offer those services like cancer screenings, which I actually don't believe Planned Parenthood does offer. They say they do. I'm not sure they actually do. But if we give that money to states, providers, we can still offer those great services without offering abortions.
Which presidential candidate has a stance that supports your views on abortion and women's reproductive rights? Anna.
I'm not sure there is one at this point. Donald Trump kind of had a whole abortion debacle 4 weeks ago.
Debacle.
So I don't really know even what he believes. I'm not sure he knows what he believes. And Ted Cruz has a very blanket pro-life. He's not in favor of those certain situations like maybe I am. But I'm also not in favor of either Bernie or Hillary because they're much too pro-choice for me. So
I'm definitely a Bernie guy. I think his record speaks for itself, and he has always stood by women's health, and I think he would be good for women and men and everyone. And that goes off of, basically he stands for everything I've been talking about before, where he thinks women deserve the right over their own autonomy and should be able to terminate a pregnancy in at least cases of the woman's health, rape and incest. I'm not as sure about if he thinks a woman should be able to terminate it for other reasons, though I think he's open to it. This isn't my strongest policy for this presidential cycle.
Thank you to both Joe and Anna for yet another fascinating and educational debate here on DCTV. This segment is from the Senior Media Major's capstone project called Join the Conversation. It focuses on creating more community awareness of politics on all levels. To check their progress, there's a video on Doane's YouTube account, so go and check that out. This is important, everyone. Join the conversation. These are issues that are very important that you need to be talking about. Everyone has their own opinions, and that's the only way we move forward. So, Clayton, how's spring going for the Doane Athletics?
Baseball took a long journey. Softball's been in some action. Golf's been playing. We're going to have all these Doane sports from DCTV. Doane baseball took another split Sunday against Briarcliff University. Briarcliff took the first game 8-5 against the Tigers. The team quickly lost their one-run lead at the bottom of the second, with Briarcliff scoring 6. The Tigers attempted a comeback but couldn't stop Briarcliff from scoring 2 more before the game was lost. In the second game, Doane again took the early lead. They fell behind by 2 runs a little later before the Tigers bounced back in the 5th and 6th to take control of the lead. They'd keep the lead on their way to an 11-8 win against the GPAC leader. The Tigers are flat on the season with 18 wins and 18 losses. Play against GPAC opponents hasn't been kind to the team. Doane is 3-9 in the conference. Before Sunday's game, the team played Dakota Wesleyan, losing both of the games in the doubleheader. In the first game, the Tigers came up short in a late rally, falling 8-6. Doane would lose by 4 against Dakota Wesleyan, scoring 8. In Doane softball Saturday, another blowout into the first of 2 games against Doane College. The Tigers exploded in the 4th inning with 6 runs. The game's final at 5 innings was 8-0. Whew! Dordt came to play in the second game, besting the Tigers 5-3. The Tigers are 22-9 on the season and 11-3 in the GPAC. The annual Doane versus Nebraska Wesleyan track and field meet gave the Tigers a win and a loss Friday. Doane's men won 110-90. Wesleyan's women won 104-97. Marissa DeLispler beat her best time at the 1500 meter at 4 minutes, 41 seconds, and 80 milliseconds. She sits 23rd in the NAIA. The Dim Dutcher Memorial Classic is next meet for the men, and the women, it happens this weekend. Women's golf shot a round of 366 in third GPAC qualifier and set 10th overall after 3 rounds. Doane holds a total of 1,134 strokes, 20 points ahead of Hastings, but 20 behind the College of St. Mary. Mount Maury leads the team race with a total of 17 over 1,000. Well, that does it here for sports. I'm not quite sure. There's some strokes there. Women's golf, they're hitting a lot of balls. There's like thousands. Doane's not doing so hot, but what's going on in Coachella with the celebrities?
They're doing just fine, Clayton. In fact, Keith Urban and Nicole Kidman are even celebrating. I'll have that story and more when Doane Weekly returns. With 24-hour marriages and frequent divorces among celebrity couples, it's hard to find someone to look up to. But don't lose hope, because Keith Urban and Nicole Kidman never did, and that's what they credit their 10-year marriage to. The couple, with 2 children, feel incredibly lucky to have reached this milestone in their relationship, and so they plan on celebrating it for a year rather than just one day. The advice they give to marriage is short and simple. Home is a place of sanctuary and peace, and to find the right person. Yeah, because it's just so simple to find the right person. Thanks for that salt in my wound, Nick Keith. Any of you remember NFL player Hank Baskett and wife Kendra Wilkinson's marriage scandal 2 years ago? Well, neither do I. But apparently the couple is now opening up about it. So, recap. Hank asked to buy marijuana from dealers outside a gas station and then went to the bathroom. When he left the bathroom, 2 naked transgender women were making out and then approached him and started fondling him. He claims he never reciprocated, but rather froze at the scene until the 2 finally left him. Naturally, rumor fled, and after the incident, it took a toll on the perfect couple's marriage. Well, now the mother of 2 opens up about her difficulties of the relationship and how Baskett told her she could mentally go single for a while to make sure she really wanted to stay in this relationship. Okay, yeah, whatever that means. It sounds like Baskett is the one that really needs to do some searching in this relationship. The annual vegan conference was called to order over the weekend in California, and yes, I'm talking about Coachella. Okay, maybe all the hipsters in their cultural appropriations of Native Americans and flower crowns aren't vegans, but I'm sure it was a great conversation starter for the festival supposedly about music. So, if you missed the Snapchat story, here are some highlights from the 2016 annual Hippie Fest. Leonardo DiCaprio tried to disguise himself as a college student, sporting a Michigan baseball hat and bandana. Good try, bud. Kesha performed True Colors to give us all hope of her return to the stage, and a good boo you to her haters. Taylor Swift attempted to blend in with the crowd by dyeing her hair and even bleach her blonde, but ultimately she was only there for her boyfriend, Calvin Harris. And Kylie Jenner dyed her hair rainbow to give the full My Little Pony impression. Truly best costume award of the year. As fun as that weekend sounds, the flower crowns are officially retired for a year, and I think we can all be thankful for that. Well, that does it for entertainment, but you want to know what grinds my gears? When people chew their nails right by you, because I think that's just horrible. If you want to chew your nails, you can do it in private or something. It's gross, so yeah, keep that to yourself. Anthony, what grinds your gears?
I'm a chewer of my nails, and I'm sorry. What grinds my gears? Well, I wrote an opinion article in the Lincoln Journal-Star, one of those letter to the editor things, and it was published in Sunday's Lincoln Journal-Star, and you can look at it from Lincoln Journal-Star's opinion page. But anyway, it was about the condition of Lincoln's roads. And I know we're not in Lincoln right now, and we're broadcasting to Crete, but just Lincoln's roads really bug me, and so that's what grinds my gears tonight, is Lincoln's awful roads. The construction workers at these roads don't resurface the roads when they're in awful condition. Instead, they use patchwork and rip up sections and fill it in with asphalt. What is that going to do? All right, we're going to send it to Kennerly now. Kennerly, what grinds your gears?
You know what really grinds my gears? Nothing's grinding my gears today. It's a beautiful day, nice rain and clouds, and I woke up.
You seem rather chipper today, yeah.
Yeah, I'm pretty chipper. I'm happy, you know.
Any reason behind that?
I mean, well, look at me, Anthony. I look amazing. So,
you know, you are a very confident person.
you have to be, because deep down inside, there's a deep hole that I cannot fill.
I'm sorry.
Well, that doesn't deny it for DCTV.
Do we need to go deeper?
I'm Kendra Benrati, and I have very deep, insecure, emotional problems.
And I'm Anthony Anderson, who is a perfectly normal, flawed American. Have a great day.
This is you.